My video for August 10th, 2017 is entitled Putin, Pope Francis is not a man of God. President Putin has slammed Pope Francis for pushing a political ideology instead of running a church, and warned that the leader of the Catholic Church is not a man of God. Pope Francis is using his platform to push a dangerous far-left political ideology on vulnerable people around the world, people who trust him because of his position, Putin said. If you look at what the Pope, says, it's clear that he is not a man of God, at least not the Christian God, not the God of the Bible, Putin said at the Naval Cathedral of St. Nicholas in Kronstadt. He dreams of a world government and a global communist system of repression. As we have seen before in communist states, this system is not compatible with Christianity. President Putin tours the Naval Cathedral of St. Nicholas with Patriarch Kirill. The Pope has become increasingly brazen this year in pushing the globalist agenda and far-left talking points upon the masses. Earlier this year, he called for a global central bank and financial authority. And more recently, he said Americans need to be ruled by a world government as soon as possible for their own good. Pope Francis's idea that Americans would be better off under a world government doesn't stop there. The radical leftist pontiff also went on record stating that Europe should become one country under one government. He is also on record calling for a China-style one-child policy for Western nations, as well as telling the congregation in Rome that having a personal relationship with Jesus is dangerous and harmful. While Putin is a practicing Christian, he is not a Roman Catholic, and the Pope is not his leader. According to his recent statements, President Putin does not even consider Pope Francis to be a Christian. The Russian president is rarely openly critical of foreign leaders, instead preferring to use diplomacy to win people over to his side. However, notorious globalists, including George Soros, Jacob Rothschild, and Bill Gates, have received tongue lashings before, and now Pope Francis has joined their company. Pope Francis is trying to lay the groundwork for a global communist government. President Putin is wise to his ruse and has called him out on it. It's time for more world leaders to tell the Pope to stay in his own lane. And that's from an article on August 3rd in Baxter Dmitry News World 202. I thought that was quite an article. And I didn't write the article. That's why I quoted the site at the end of the blurb, or at the end of what I read there. And it's a longer blurb than what I usually use. But there are some interesting points in that. I have long been brainwashed to understand that the Protestant Reformation separated Christianity into Protestant and Catholic. But the truth of the matter is, it was actually separated even before that into Eastern Orthodox, or Russian, Greek and Russian Orthodox were separate forms of Christianity, not under the papacy. However, the Pope claims the whole world. He doesn't just claim Catholics. He claims the whole world to be under his domain. He's an egomaniac, and the position of Pope itself is an ego-driven Roman Empire idea that Rome has the authority to rule the world. And it doesn't matter whether it's East or West or what kind of religion it is, the Pope is the head of the world. And it's the one world order, the new world order that I have spoken about so often on my videos. This is a world that will be dominated by megalomaniacs and charlatans who take away human rights. And I mean, I didn't realize some of the things that this article says, that he calls a relationship with Jesus personal and harmful. I have felt that I had a personal relationship with Jesus my entire life. I still talk to Jesus. And I don't talk to Buddha. I don't talk to other world leaders. I do talk to, I do talk to, God, I've drawn a blank, and there's pictures right here in front of me, on a little picture of him on the computer, and another picture right over there on the wall. The German guy, and Bruno Groening. I drew a blank for a moment on his name, which is crazy because I also asked Bruno for help, because when he left, he said, you can ask me for help and I will help. And people all over the world ask Bruno for help. And Bruno was in a Russian concentration camp, as far as I remember, during the war. And then he was released. But the Putin's Russia is not the same as Stalin's Russia. I want you to understand that. Edgar Cayce said, out of Russia comes the hope of the world. Not as in communism and Bolshevikism and the communist takeover of from Russia's Tsar, under Tsar Alexander, and that Anastasia, the new Anastasia, the recluse from Siberia. She's the one that helped the transformation of Russia. And I do believe that Putin, although he may have started out to be a communist ideologue, I think he has changed his colors, and I do think he has a spiritual side that most of the Western leaders don't have. I mean, their spiritual side is Satan worship. And Putin apparently is trying to come out there to the world and say, look, I'm a Christian. I believe in principles that were established in the Russian Orthodox Church. Now, I don't agree completely with even the takeover of Christianity in Russia or anywhere else in the world as being a dominant religion. Christianity and dominant religion don't have anything to do with loving your neighbor as yourself, and it's still a religion of separation. And I'm opposed to anything that separates us from one another. The only thing that separates us is when we choose to be liars. But it's the lie and the truth are the only things that separate. And all religions have been doctored by the establishment, by the beast, by the political ideology of the Western world. And again, just like I've said that Khazarians are not Jews, even though they claim to be Jews. They're the ones that run Israel, for example. They're the ones that greatly influence the United States and the entire Western world. They are the ones that don't want to be criticized and call people that criticize them anti-Semites, and they're not Semitic. Folks, there's so many things that we need to get straight, and we need to correct so many of the lies that we've been told in our politics, in our religion, and as human beings, we have been misled. And I still hold Putin up, although I'm criticized by some people in that regard. I still hold him up as one of the best examples of a world leader who is willing to go out on a limb and tell the truth. And this article that I just read to you at the beginning of this video illustrates that point, that he is trying his best to set the record straight. Please pay attention to that, and thank you for listening. Namaste.